God's design for intimacy in the bedroom. Today we're going to talk about part 3 of our sacred sensuality system.
So we will be covering spectacular sensations and or satisfaction and snuggles and smiles. So I hope you like our S's. I know it sounds super silly, but I really believe this message is going to bless you. So we are super excited to dive in.
Yes, we are. If you missed part 1 or part 2, we'll put the links below. Also, at the end of this video, we'll wrap up our model so you can better understand how to apply it to your marriage bed.
Spectacular sensations and or satisfaction. So basically you can kind of see on the picture where we are at inside of the system. And this is basically the area where you are reaching peak enjoyment or climax and or just completely feeling a place of satisfaction and enjoyment. So there are also places where this can cause irritation and frustrations, but overall this is the place of basically pure bliss.
God obviously designed our bodies to experience pleasure, but that should not be the end-all be-all focus.
Right.
But rather, we should be striving to experience one another in heart, mind, body, soul, and spirit. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't desire this ultimate satisfaction. It's part of God's gift to marriage. The book of Proverbs 5:18 says this, "Let your fountain be blessed and rejoice in the wife of your youth, a lovely deer, a graceful doe. Let her breasts fill you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always in her love."
Some blockers to that fullness of intimacy can simply be sexual dysfunctions, whether that is infrequent or delayed or an inability altogether. So sometimes it may not be a dysfunction, it may just be simply misinformed or misinformation. So for example, if you're expecting a woman to be the same as a man, you're just misinformed. So I think the stat is it takes a man about a few minutes, I think like 5.4, and a woman, 15 to 20 minutes.
Yes.
So just simply having the education of knowing that a woman needs longer foreplay is one way to improve this connection for the two of you. Also, misinformation about how a woman climaxes. So the stat I think is half of women sometimes are able to with intercourse, but a lot of times that's not the case at all. So if that's your expectation, you're going to be very disappointed. A lot of women really need external stimulation. And so just simply being able to understand that. Now, there are some techniques, there are some exercises, if that is something you desire, that can help some people to move in that direction. But sometimes even with those exercises, it's just, there are women that it's just not possible for them. And so being able to understand that is huge. Ladies also, if you feel like your husband is someone who is simply uncomfortable and doesn't know what to do, really it's completely okay for you to teach him, talk to him, guide him.
And honestly, we would love to know, how can we better connect with you?
Most men do.
Yeah.
I mean, not all, but most men are like, please let me know. And so being able to truly communicate, and I know that this can be extremely uncomfortable for a lot of women to be able to talk and be open and vulnerable like that. So I would suggest start small. Start small by being able to redirect the things that you don't like in a very loving and kind way. And being able to start there, you might be able to slowly move into the area of being able to share the things that you do like. So give it a try. I know it might be scary, but I think it'll be worth it.
Now, lack of information doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. I mean, there are people who are completely informed, but for whatever reason can't let go, and letting go is a big part of achieving that release.
And there's also if you are a child of an alcoholic, I think this is, we've mentioned it before, it's strange, but so basically you were raised in a home with an alcoholic, so it's incredibly chaotic home. So you've learned as a child how to let go, but you don't really like to. So you are it's very confusing for this happens a lot with women, and it's very confusing for their husbands, because when the wife does let go, she seems to really enjoy it, but then afterwards shuts down and does not want to do it again. So they're super confused, but it's because they're able to get out of control because they saw it through childhood, but really don't want to. And so then they kind of pull back afterwards. And if that's someone, if you are someone that has that kind of situation, and someone, there's a book down below that I think might actually help out with that too.
Another blocker for men would be finishing too quickly, or PE. This starts a cycle of anger and frustrations, which really pulls you away from that intimate connection with your spouse. If you are struggling with this, first of all, you're not alone. There's lots of men experience this at some point in time. But there are exercises that you can do at home, or if you need to, seek a physician's help.
Another blocker to satisfaction would be pain. And so pain during sex is absolutely counter to the enjoyment and fulfillment of God's design. And so the pain needs to be addressed first. And you're not alone. This is super, super common, more common than I think a lot of people realize. And so being able to take care of that, go to the doctor, the gynecologist, their sex therapist, and the pelvic floor specialist can do wonders. And so I want to provide that hope for you that it is possible to get help, and there is possible for you to have God's true design, and honestly, you deserve it.
Yes, you do.
And so I just want to kind of encourage you that if that is you, to start seeking out that help.
We by no means covered all the blockers, the potentials. Obviously, medications, psychological, emotional, there's a number of different factors.
Yeah, so in general, real basic tip, but is absolutely necessary, is improving your communication. So you have to talk, and that's inside the bedroom conversation and outside the bedroom conversation.
Right.
So being able to learn to give some direction, being able to know your own body and to truly be able to bask and enjoy yourself and your spouse. And so there's just some simple tips. But
also, if talking about sex with your spouse is a struggle for you, we have a video for you. We'll link it in the comments below. And also, if you are experiencing complications, brave the doctor. It's worth it. Snuggles and smiles. As you can see on our model, this is the part we consider the afterwards connection.
So it is so important that you take this time to have a time of holding and caring for one another. It can be either an affirmation or silent holding, but just that you value that time of being able to stay connected.
This is the part where the bonding really solidifies. It's a part where you're able to just enjoy one another, and it allows you to set up for the next time of connection. It's a time that you can talk, or you can even plan what may happen in the future.
This is also an opportunity to stop the system from moving smoothly if you skip this step. So this is a place where if you go about your normal business, you get up, you busy about, you ignore your spouse, very great opportunity to make them feel used or not cared for or not cherished. And when they're not feeling cherished, they're not as likely to want to be intimate again quickly. They might even want to avoid it.
That's a great point. And another unfortunate trend is people immediately check their phone.
Yes.
Immediately after a time of connection.
Like, oh, okay.
And what that says is, it says, yeah, that was fun, but this is what's important to me right now.
Yeah.
And that is not setting you up for healthy lovemaking in the future at all.
So again, the ideal is that you take the time to truly soak in the good hormones, make good memories, and just really set yourself up to move into the sensual setup so that you're able to continue to set yourself up for the next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so in setting yourself up to kind of keep the cycle and the system moving, the sensual setup is basically what leads you to and or away from the bedroom. So ideally we want to be stacking odds in our favor and having more things that are helping us move into the bedroom. Whether that's just a better relationship, helping with the chores, like all those things that lead someone to be interested in moving to the bedroom, kind of seduction in that way. Then you have a scheduled and spontaneous time. So ideally both would be fantastic. So that means learning to communicate and learning to schedule. That way you have more frequency. And then moving on, you have a spark or secondary desire, which we kind of described as not everyone has desire all the time in a natural way. And so there's also a lot that we have a secondary desire and understanding that that's okay. And so moving down, we talked about what we talked about today, which is spectacular sensations and or satisfaction, as well as the snuggles and smiles. And then moving on back around to sensual setup. We have so many S's. It's very, very hard. But sensual setup. So I kind of think hopefully seeing the whole model will help you to understand the areas that you already have doing well that you could add on, and or the areas that really need some improvement, or the hiccups per se, that this is where it's stopping you from moving forward, or this is the area that's causing you to avoid. Do remember that we also have a beta course that we are starting. So with this course, this part of our sacred sensuality system is part of the course. It is also just really for those that are uncomfortable talking about sex, or just really uncomfortable in the bedroom in general and need kind of that start to help be able to connect better with your spouse. So it is all down below. Book a discovery call down below. We would love to talk to you.
Also, if you missed part 1 and part 2 of this sacred sensuality cycle, check out the links in the video below. And we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell, and we will see you in the next one.
Looking forward to it. Bye guys.